welcome back. Today we have a special treat. We've got my very good friend, also food scientist, chef, entrepreneur, all around badass person, Sara. Chef Sara, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Today we will be cooking some chicken katsu. We're gonna show you some basic brining, battering and breading, and frying techniques. I hope you guys enjoy. It's gonna get exciting.
Hey, I can't wait. Let's get into it. First step, the brine.
So brining is a tenderizing technique. It's not usually done for chicken katsu.
Sometimes you gotta be a little extra, and ain't nothing wrong with that.
We're imparting a little bit of flavor and keeping the chicken nice and juicy when we fry it. So our brine is super simple. It's just water, salt, sugar, and rice vinegar. So the first step is we want to boil half of the amount of water that the brine calls for. So we've got about 2 cups of water in here, and we're gonna let that water boil. And then once it comes to a simmer or a boil, then we will add the salt. We've got a 1/4 cup of salt here. We've got a 1/2 cup of sugar and a 1/2 cup of rice vinegar. We'll let that dissolve, and then we'll add it to some room temp or cold water, and then add our raw chicken. You don't want to put chicken into a warm brine. You want to put it into a cold brine and then put it into the refrigerator for food safety reasons.
What do we got next?
We just transfer our chicken breasts from their packaging into the brine, and then we will put the brine in the refrigerator, and you'll want to refrigerate or brine them from 12 to 18 to 24 hours, no more than 24 hours.
This is the premeditated day before. Make sure you're turned in.
And if you want to skip this step and you're just feeling like katsu right now, you don't have to do this. This is just an added step to make sure that the chicken is nice and juicy, adding a little bit more flavor to the chicken itself. So
A little extra.
So into the fridge we go. Here we have some freshly baked white bread. Traditionally, with chicken katsu, we use panko breadcrumbs. What we're gonna do with this is we're going to dice it up into about 1 to 1.5 inch cubes, and then we'll throw it in the food processor, give it a whirl, and then use that for our breading. So you add enough to the level, yeah. What you want to do is you want to pulse it. You don't want to just turn it on and let it go, because we want to control the size of the breadcrumbs. All right, so we'll pulse it. Okay. There are still some big pieces in there, which we can sift out. And then if you see those big pieces in there, just give it a shake, and you can just skim those off the top. You can leave some of the big pieces, and when they're frying, like if it adds some extra texture to it, it's not a bad thing to have some bigger pieces in there. You don't want them all the same size. A little more uniform this time. So here are our breadcrumbs.
Sweet.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the chicken out of the brine. We wanna dry it off. These chicken breasts are a little bit thick, so I like to butterfly them and then pound them out, because the purpose of pounding out meat is to tenderize it. We want the chicken to still have texture without making it super thin. We want it to be a consistent thickness all the way through, because that will ensure even cooking throughout the entire piece of meat. So we've got our paper towels here, and you want them to be nice and dry. Just pat them out nice and dry. When you cut them in half, you want to start at the fat end first. So I'm just going to slice it in half and butterfly it, but nice, long, even strokes all the way down. Because you don't want a sawing motion, because that's going to create more cuts and tears in the muscle. And even though we are breaking it down with a mallet, try and be as smooth as possible. Think of it like when you see sushi chefs cutting fish. They do one directional cuts and come and do one directional cuts.
Practice is everything.
We do have like some little stragglers here. What we can do when we pound it, we'll try and pound them together. And if there's extra little bits, we can always trim those off to try and get it as uniform as possible. I'm gonna use the more frequented pointy side.
Pointy side.
Yes.
Technical term.
Lightly pounding to where it's even in thickness. But the thickness that you want is probably around 1/2 inch, like 3/4 to 1/2 inch. It's even thickness, and then we'll place it down. Perfect. We'll get cleaned up, and then we'll get our battering and breading set up. So now we're moving on to the coating process for the chicken katsu. The process will be to dredge it in a seasoned flour mixture. So we'll add some salt and pepper to the flour just to season it. And then we will do an egg wash. So we're gonna crack some eggs, mix those up, add a little bit of water just to make it a little bit more liquidy, and then we'll coat it in some panko, and then we'll fry it. So for the flour dredge, we have a cup of flour here. So add probably a good pinch of salt to that, and then a few good shakes of black pepper in there, and then just mix it up with your fingers. You don't have to season your flour, and if you're on like a low sodium diet, you don't have to add salt to it. You don't have to, if you don't like black pepper, that's fine. This is just us adding a little bit more flavor as we go. And then, so we've got 5 eggs here, should be plenty. You wanna give them a good mix. So we'll add just a little bit of water to this, thin it out just a little bit. We wanna move from one side to the next, from raw to cooked. Start with the chicken, go ahead and get it coated, nice and coated in there. So the reason that we are dredging in the flour first is because the eggs need to stick to something. Next, we will go into the eggs. Perfect. And then into the panko. You can go ahead and like cover it up and pat it on there. You want it to be completely coated.
How's that?
That's perfect. That looks great. Nice. So pretty.
It's gonna have some crunch.
And today we used a neutral oil, we used vegetable oil. Canola works fine, peanut works fine. You want something with a high smoke point. We'll get upwards to 375, 400, and it won't start to smoke. You wouldn't want to use olive oil or something with a lower smoke point.
The more you know.
So if your oil heats up higher than the temperature that you want, it's okay, because as soon as we put the chicken in, the temperature is gonna go down. So you don't want it to drop too much. We'll start with a piece of katsu. And we'll lay it in nice and easy. There we go. Sizzles. All right. And so we want to fry this until it's golden brown. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes, no longer than 3 minutes. So when you're frying, you notice all these bubbles are coming up. This is actually water evaporating from the product. It's also denaturing proteins and causing some caramelization on the breadcrumbs. So that's why they are turning a darker color. All right, so I'm gonna add another little piece in here just to keep the flow going. I'm gonna turn it again just to, I think we're almost done here. Super quick, and so it's always important to have all of your equipment ready when you're frying. You don't wanna be scrambling when you're working with hot oil to get stuff in place. Perfect, nice. You want to have everything ready to go just in case something happens. Like, you don't want to bump the pot and spill hot oil everywhere. Not only is that dangerous, but it's a huge mess. Always make sure that you have your frying equipment and your breading equipment and a rack ready to hold the finished cooked chicken or whatever you're cooking here on the ready. We want to be at 350. 310's okay.
How low is too low?
You don't want to go below 300 because then the product starts absorbing oil. The flavoring should come from the sauce and then the chicken itself. So you can tell here, this is where it was touching the cast iron skillet, and then over here it wasn't. Totally fine, totally normal. If you want the chicken to be completely like one, no dark spots, then that's when you'll want to deep fry. But we're shallow frying here. It's completely fine, I think. See how we're doing on the other side? Oh yeah. Clear some room. Nice. Cha.
Cha brew.
Cha brew. Now all that's left is to slice them into thin slices, put them on a plate, drizzle them with some sauce, and enjoy. So you want to just cut it into bite-sized pieces. Check for doneness. They look fabulous. And then transfer onto a plate. Today we're using Kogome Tonkatsu Sauce. This is the stuff that makes this whole dish awesome. This stuff is awesome. It's like a Japanese barbecue sauce. It's tangy. It's super, super savory. It's not sweet. You just drizzle a little bit on top. You can get it at most Japanese grocery stores. I'm not sure about all Asian markets, but definitely at Japanese grocery stores. And then I'm just going to put a little lemon on there as well to cut through the richness of the oil. And there you have your katsu.
Boom! Going in.
Itadakimasu.
Itadakimasu! Oh yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, box panko, legit. But yeah, I feel like the homemade breadcrumbs are really, it's got a little extra crunch. It's just a little extra.
Not too salty. The brine just has good chicken flavor. It's chicken, breadcrumbs, katsu sauce. Super simple in flavor, but really delicious.
The chicken's super tender. Boom. And there you have it, chicken katsu, Chef Sara. Give it up.
Chef Andrew, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. Hope you learned a couple things. Hope you enjoy the meal that you cook next time. Hopefully it's katsu. Thanks so much.
Well, if we haven't terrified Sara, hopefully she will come back for another session and we'll get some more cooking knowledge dropped for all of y'all. Booyah! Sound clap?
Stress sweats.
Hey, I'm glad you got my email about the green shirt.
Yeah, I know, right? What do you do with your face?
Heyo, welcome back. Today we are, see, look at that. First try. Also, hold up, just for look at this thing, man. Like,
It's a hammer.
taking it to Flavor Town.
That's right. Maybe because our social media manager has not posted anything since last November, so.
Is it snowboard season?
It's snowboards.
Snowboard season. Katsu for days, son.
Cha.
Cha brew.
Cha brew.